Hello, everyone. I'm very happy to have a skilled person with us right now, part of the Voice of the Skilled series. Right now, we have with us Shilpi Shital. Let's listen to her. Over to you, Shilpi.
One thing I can say about myself, I'm a very PV enthusiast. Almost whole my life, I have worked on PV. I did my master's from IIT Delhi and in energy, and then I did my PhD on solar cells, mostly like how to make solar cells absorb more light. And then I moved to Israel for my postdoc. So, yeah, like for my PhD, I chose to focus on the modeling of solar cells, something that was not expertise of my research group, but I was very full of myself, being young, thought I can do it all by myself. Yeah, but somehow I survived my PhD like most of the people. Um, in Israel, I was mostly working on a different aspect of optics rather than cells. So, like how you can multiply the frequency of light, and like I also did some quantum mechanical simulations. And then I moved to Luxembourg, where I was designing solar cells that are semi-transparent so that you can use them as windows. So most of the semi-transparent solar cells research that happens, what they try to do. Please just stop me if I am too boring and technical.
Look,
Uh,
I'm very interested in the technology. So please don't say it's boring. I'm all ears. Let's just do it, okay?
Normally what they do is they make the absorber layer thin. So when you make the absorber layer thin, it absorbs less light, but it absorbs less light in different ways for different wavelength. So if you have blue light, it gets absorbed almost completely, and the infrared light, it lets everything in. So our approach was a bit different. What was our approach was like to have tiny strips of solar cells in between and empty space between it, so that you get what the light you get is like the normal light from outside, and it's still like transparent because you cannot see the tiny lines.
Yeah, okay.
So
So,
we also, yeah.
hang on, Shilpi. Let me just explain to those who may not know what you are talking about, what is going on here. Okay, so in
Yeah.
layman's term, I will explain it and then you can just say whether I'm right or I'm wrong. Okay, so basically, when you have a solar panel, its job is to absorb the sunlight. How much sunlight falls on it and how much of it is absorbed, that's very important because the more of it that you absorb, the more the electricity you will get from it, right? You might think that it will absorb 100% of the sunlight that falls on it, but that's not the case. How much of it absorbs is going to depend upon technical things, which you can call as the technical capacity of the panel to absorb light. Right? I'm just talking in very simple language. So it matters very much whether how much light it absorbs, and it also matters where you can put it. So if it can only be used as a panel on your rooftop or somewhere, then you are saying, look, I can only put it in those places. But if, as she's saying, you can put it in a window, then and it works as a window because you don't want a window
Yeah.
that doesn't work like a window, but you have a window, you don't notice it and it's absorbing the light, then you hook it up to a little electricity system which converts that light into electricity and you have solar electricity. So it's very, and uh, just by comparison, when you burn coal in a coal power plant, about 50 or a little bit more percent of the actual energy in the coal gets converted into electricity. Even there, you are not able to convert all of the energy in the coal into electricity. Solar panels, we'll ask her to give the number, but I believe it's like 20% or a bit more of the sunlight is absorbed. Now, if we could absorb more without increasing the cost of the panel, then we would get cheaper solar electricity. So, Shilpi, am I right in this?
Yes, yes.
Okay, good. So now
So
let's hear your innovation because I mean, I understand, but I'm not sure that everybody understands. So I'm a professor. I can't help explaining things.
thank you so much. You explained it much better.
Okay, so let's continue.
So like and the problem with these yes, tiny solar cells are how do you collect the current if you have tiny lines? So this was my work about like how to I to design the like mechanism to collect the current. So there we also worked on like color solar cells, like to make it colorful so that people like it better. The black solar cells are not exactly very pretty. And it doesn't reduce the efficiency l- even if you make it color. Like if you make it color, it means it has to reflect some light. But most of the time, all you need is a very, a sharp peak of reflection. You need the reflection in a very narrow wavelength range, like barely 10 to 20 nanometer to like see a bright color. Yes. So for that, I was like trying to figure out if like having different colors on a solar cell affect its performance in a different like in any way. So if we can have a picture of different colors on same solar cells, so will that make the solar cell sick? So Luxembourg was a nice place. We used to go hiking. Then I moved to Netherlands to take a job in their government research organization. So there I did a lot of interesting stuff, like predicting solar, if output of a solar park is very important these days. Earlier, nobody cared because solar was like 1% of the grid, but now like you have 50% and more than that. So, my work was like for silicon, all the models for prediction of cell power is focused on silicon. But now that we are having like different types of solar cells, like perovskite solar cells, so they act a bit different. So this was my work about to like understand how like morning spectrum is different, like morning sunlight is different and your afternoon sunlight is different. Morning you have more red light and afternoon you have like normal light. So how this thing affect the performance of solar cells. So this I was modeling this, and then I also did a lot of interesting stuff like how solar cell degrade, how can we model the outdoor degradation from inside, like in a lab. Um, and then other interesting stuff. Then I got this opportunity to move to UAE. So I have been here for like 2 years now. So here I have been continuing the work on degradation and like modeling of solar forecasting. We also tried to do some agrivoltaics where and the main focus was mostly like when you do agrivoltaics, the main focus is on like having maximum generation from the PV because that's expensive. But here it's a desert, so our focus is on more on crops, like how we can like keep the crops alive because of shading it provides. Because desert suns are brutal, so if you keep them in shade, you reduce the absorption. Like you wrote that your brother is doing some work in drip irrigation.
Yes, he is trying to improve drip irrigation to reduce the costs and make it more productive. Yes.
So, like,
But
it's the
that's not
same.
in the desert. That's not for the desert. We are talking about, we are not yet interested in, or we don't have the skills to talk about irrigation in desert yet. And
Yeah.
agrivoltaics, I'm aware of it, but we are not doing anything about it. We are focused on places which don't have desert-like conditions. So we don't know about this, and I'm keen to hear what you are doing. So how does
So even
AgriVolt work? I mean, I understand the concept, but you can tell us what you have observed.
yeah, so like our we were focusing on the shading, like how this like light move, like how much shading the plant receives, and how will it affects its production. So like even in India, like we have way more sunlight than the plants need. Like not just mint, like even for other plants. So even in India, it might be helpful. We don't need to just consider desert. Even they're using it in like Europe also, and they don't have a lot of sunlight there.
So what sort of plants can be used this with? What sort of things?
They have used, it for a lot of things, like mint loves shade, but it's not just mint. They have used it for tomatoes, like all different kind of agriculture. So I was reading a paper. Uh, they in Germany they are trying to make a map like about suggestions like how much shading these panels provide and what how and it's good for which plants like how much shading for which plants. So here we did basil mostly. We didn't had a lot of space.
Okay. How about what? So the plants have to be short, okay? Is that what you're saying? They can't be like tall, because then the solar panel would have to be higher up. I don't know
Yes.
the details. You tell us.
So it depends on like if your plants are taller, you can make the solar panel taller, but it will increase the cost. So everything will depend on like it needs to be site specific calculations. And we don't have for desert we don't even have a lot of agriculture growth crop growth models. Yes, so that's another problematic thing. Didn't look about India, but I think India must have a lot of crop growth models.
Okay.
This part my friend was doing. This is not something I did. The
Okay. Fine.
crop part.
Okay. All right. So what is your focus now?
I'm now focusing on like solar cell degradation. Like earlier, it didn't matter much, but now we have so many PV modules out there, so their degradation is much more important. So like how you can like reduce degradation and how you can accurately measure them.
Okay. So how do you stop the degradation?
And there have been a lot of technologies. Like one thing is you can change the solar cell structure itself. Like a boron uh, doping in the solar cell was not good for its health. So it has been like reduced slowly. And you can like stop the harmful rays that are like no, UV rays coming from solar. So that is also being studied a lot.
Okay. But uh, is all your work entirely theoretical, or do you have any knowledge of practical things that people might be able to better follow?
So during my PhD, I made some like solar cells, and by some miracle, they actually worked.
Okay,
But after that, my work has mostly been theoretical.
okay.
Like people are more happy to do experimental work in my domain,
Yeah,
and they leave the theoretical work to me.
yeah. Okay. But in the end, the theory must have some purpose, right? I mean, I know it's theory,
Yes.
so I understand theory. But what is the objective of the theoretical research?
I take it as like to reduce the experimental parameters, like do the mathematics so that we have to do lesser number of experiments.
Hmm.
And like if you spend like time doing maths, the ideas get clearer without you spending money on equipment like chemicals or equipments.
Hmm.
But at the end, you cannot capture everything in your model. At the end, you have to do some experiments.
Okay. All right. Uh, could you perhaps share something about your how you came to love solar? What happened when you were young or something? Is it why this career choice? Not that it's a bad career choice. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying people want to know how you chose it and what you expect to do with it in the future.
Okay, so I was in like college and we saw these documentary by Al Gore, The Inconvenient Truth or An Inconvenient Truth, I don't remember. And that changed a lot of people. And it happened that it was recession. I like when I was in college, I wanted to go into VLSI, but there was a recession and I had a job offer from Tata Power. And I took it, and then I spent like 1 year there. It was good. I learned a lot of things, how power is generated, how it's transmitted, and how it's distributed. They had like a 3 month classroom program. But I realized that I want to do research, and then I enrolled in energy studies. So my husband is in oil, so he said like oil sector is going down. You must go to renewable energy.
So is he with you in all these cities that you went to?
Uh, Israel and Luxembourg, it was just me and my child.
Okay,
And Netherlands, he said, like, okay, we stayed far enough. We need to move in.
okay. And now in UAE?
Yeah, he's with us.
Okay, wonderful. All right. Well, let me ask you a question I'm interested in. What is the current level of efficiency? Efficiency for the general public, meaning how much of the sunlight is actually converted into electricity. So, what is the efficiency of the solar panels and what's the growth path that you see?
So now we have like 25% efficiency in silicon solar cells.
Uh-huh.
And since almost everybody I know works on perovskite solar cells, so I think that's the something that will take over from silicon, either alone or like we will have perovskite solar cell on top of silicon solar cells.
Okay. Are they I had not heard of these cells. Okay. You'll have to explain to me.
So like silicon is very beautiful, like it has a perfect crystal that you drop slightly to make solar cells. But making those perfect crystals take a lot of energy. So people came up with this idea of thin film solar cells where
Yeah.
they deposited a thin material, like silicon is like at least 200 microns thick, and these thin film materials are like 1 to 2 micron thick.
Mm.
So, but these thin films have had problem that they didn't have perfect crystals. So, like what happens in a solar cell when the light strikes, you get an electron and a vacancy of electron. So, when you have perfect crystals, you don't these two don't recombine. But when you have like a lot of impurities, and then they recombine. So thin film solar cell had this problem, but people were working on it and they have been improving it. And we actually have thin film solar cell in market. They are made of cadmium telluride. But like a few years ago, when I was doing my PhD, um, somebody found this material that doesn't, that's like thin film, so it doesn't take a lot of energy to make, but it didn't had a lot of defects. So these electrons and holes don't recombine, and you can like get more current.
Mhm.
So almost everybody started working on it, and these material are called perovskite after its inventor, I guess. And they are very different kind of materials with different properties, and they are giving very good efficiencies now. Like they are giving more than 20% efficiencies, but the problem is their stability. So when my lab mates used to make perovskite solar cells, they cannot even take it keep it like 20 minutes in air, because they will degrade in 20 minutes.
Okay. All right.
So, but now, there has been a lot of work and they are way more stable now.
Mhm.
And people are trying to commercialize it. There's Oxford PV and a lot of other companies.
So basically, this is thin film solar technology.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I had heard of thin film, and it was always promised as the next big step. But so far, I have not been very actively involved in these things anymore for some time, so I had not heard of any great progress. But what you're saying is that the future is in thin film, right?
It might be thin film, or it might be putting these thin film over silicon. So, like people have reported like 32% efficiencies, putting these perovskite solar cells on silicon solar cells already.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay. 32%. And is the cost much higher?
Cost, like now, the cost of solar cell is not very high.
Yeah.
So most of the cost come from other things.
Yeah.
So even if you increase the cost a bit, it hardly matters.
Yeah. Okay. I understand. Right. The cost is in the electricity and the wires and all that, right? It's the original main contributor is only a part of the cost, right? Okay, all right. So what's your future in this?
So when I was started modeling of solar cells, like people didn't consider it a real job. They thought that you are just wasting time on computer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, even after my first postdoc, I was thinking of changing my field. Okay, I'm not going to get a job in PV modeling. But when I look now, a lot of research in PV is about modeling. So I am hopeful. Right now, I'm trying to focus on uh, how PV can should be integrated to like how PV should be deployed for maximum economic benefit, or maximum grid stability. Because earlier, they put solar panels in a way so that it generates maximum electricity, and it made sense because the grid is not being affected by the PV output, because it's barely 1%, and the PV modules were very expensive. But now, the prices of module have gone down and the amount of PV being fed to grid has improved. It's important to think of how it to deploy it so that it helps the grid.
Yeah, I understand. Okay, but what's the current price, watt peak of solar panel per watt? What's the current price?
The LCOE in India, I think it has been reported less than 4 rupees per watt.
Wow, that's pretty low.
Yes. Like
Okay.
solar is the most cheapest form of energy humankind has ever seen.
Okay. All right, wonderful. Okay, so all right, so it is going to be cheaper in the future, is what you're saying. It'll
Yes,
take,
it will go cheaper.
yeah, but we have the, the usual problems of dispatch and stability of the output for the grid and all. But that's outside your field of expertise if you are focused on this. Okay, let's go back to your young days when you were growing up in high school or before that. Where were you? What was going on in your life at that time? How did you even decide to become an engineer? Let's talk about that.
I was born in Patna, like it was the pre-IT era.
Yeah.
So things were much simpler back then. So Patna was like it was a small town back then. We had a lot of construction going on near our house, and we used to make a lot of sand castles, not on the beach, but on on those construction houses.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I have two younger sisters. Um, uh, I was born in India, so they give you two career paths. Either you become a doctor or an engineer.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't had a lot of capacity to remember things, so I thought I will better be an engineer.
Okay.
So I got admission into NIT Patna, so I could stay home.
Mm-hmm. But that NIT is a all India test, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But
So it was luck because then you used to fill this seat matrix
yes,
where you like listed all the options,
yes,
and I got NIT Patna.
yes. And how was that?
It was very misogynist back then.
Okay,
It would have been a lot of fun if it were not that misogynist.
okay.
But it was still fun. We had good teachers. We didn't had good infrastructure.
Yeah,
You know, you're Indian.
yeah.
Now they have much better camp. Like everything is much better there.
Mm-hmm.
But when we enrolled, they're building things. We learned a lot. I never felt like I lack anything. Like I worked on all these places. I'm very proud of my education, whatever I was taught.
Mm-hmm. And what is it that, let's talk a bit personal. What is it that these days, I guess, with the child, there's no spare time, but what's your way of making yourself feel good, happy, whatever? Cooking, dancing, singing. What is it that makes you happy?
I normally read. I read a lot.
Okay.
I tried writing, but wrote few stories, but they were not very good, so I stopped.
So what are you reading now?
I just finished a book on personality change. So one can always do with a bit of personality change. It's written by Olga, I think. And the
Okay.
last literature I read was 100 Years of Solitude.
Yes.
Uh, do
Okay.
you like it?
Yeah, but this is not about me. It's about you. Okay. So you tell us anything else you want to add here. Any advice for young people?
Okay. Advice for young women, don't underestimate yourself.
Okay.
I was having this Dutch class, and the instructor asked all of us, "What do you think your Dutch vocabulary is?" And this young lady says like 30. I was so surprised. It was at least 300. So young women underestimate themselves by a order of magnitude.
Mm-hmm.
So they should stop doing that.
Okay.
What will be your advice to young women?
Oh, I am no in, I am in no position to give advice to young women. Okay. I cannot get involved. in such things. Okay. I'm so far removed from young people that I prefer to listen to them rather than to give any advice. Okay. All right, but
You talk to a lot of them.
yeah, I listen. I don't talk, I listen. My job is not to talk. I like to listen. It's a way of saying to young people that I want to empower you. I want to give you the space to talk about yourself, what you do, how you do it. And they are very happy with it because nobody else gives them that opportunity. Okay, so I think we are coming to an end. Is there anything else you want to add here?
Mm, Okay, be sustainable.
Okay, all right.
Like if we can afford a lot of things, but Mother Earth cannot.
Okay, all right. Be sustainable. All right. So, Shilpi, unless you have something else to add, let's end it here today, right?
No, okay.
Okay, fine. All right. So, thanks for being here, Shilpi. It's very good to hear, at least for me, what's happening with this solar technology. Most people, of course, don't have any interest in the details of the solar technology, but I do. And I thank you for telling me what the changes are. And I remember thin film, but thin film is becoming a reality. That's a big change, and we can get 32%. That's also a big change because it was not possible to even think about it. So thank you very much for bringing me up to date. Let's end it here today. I'll be back with another young person or an expert like Dr. Sheetal. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank
Stay
you. Thanks
online.
for inviting.
Stay
Bye.
online. Okay.